On the morning of February 7, 2016, the director of the Bangladesh Bank got off the elevator and headed toward the 10th floor, the most restricted part of the building. His mind was preoccupied with a problem that had plagued his office for days. The bank's printer wasn't working. But this wasn't just any printer. This automated machine was directly connected to the bank's software, designed to operate 24/7, printing real-time transaction reports. The fact that the printer tray was empty represented a major issue, one that was about to reveal a massive crisis. Little did anyone know, this small technical glitch would set in motion a chain of events that had been silently building for over a year. The day was spent troubleshooting the glitch, and after several hours of work, the printer was finally up and running again. But as soon as it started, a backlog of reports began pouring out, far more than anticipated. It became clear that something was horribly wrong. One of the printouts showed an instruction sent to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in order to drain the entire Bangladesh bank account. Panic swept through the office. As employees scrambled to halt the transaction, they realized it might already be too late. Upon further investigation, they found 35 suspicious payment orders for absurdly large sums of money. These payments, totaling near $1 billion, were supposedly transferred to various accounts in other countries. But how did this all begin? To understand the root of the problem, we need to go back to the initial point of the breach. In January 2015, an employee at the Bangladesh Bank opened a seemingly ordinary email, a job application, but hidden within the zip file was a malicious program. Once clicked, the malware began installing itself deep within the bank's systems, setting off a chain of events that would shake the nation's financial system. For over a year, the hackers observed the bank's inner workings, learning how transactions were made and how to impersonate the bank's credentials on the SWIFT network. The hackers were patient and strategic, but to carry out a heist of this scale, they had to overcome several significant obstacles. The hackers faced 3 significant obstacles. 1. The printer that logged all SWIFT transactions monitored by employees. 2. The challenge of flawlessly impersonating Bangladesh Bank's credentials to make the fraudulent transfers appear legitimate to the U.S. Federal Reserve. 3. The fact that the Bangladesh Bank itself didn't hold enough money in its own accounts to make the heist worthwhile, but it did control billions stored at the Federal Reserve. The hackers devised a plan to overcome these hurdles. They created malware that, when injected into the computer, would cause it to stop printing the transaction logs, making it seem like a technical glitch. This would ensure their fraudulent activities remained unnoticed, hidden behind a printer malfunction. With the technical barriers solved, all that was left was to choose the perfect moment to strike. With everything meticulously set in place, the hackers needed a place to send the money. They discreetly opened 4 primary accounts at the RCBC Bank on Jupiter Street in Manila, Philippines. Each account had an initial deposit of $500 in May of 2015. The 5th account was created in Sri Lanka as a safeguard. These were no ordinary bank accounts. Each one was meticulously crafted with fake identities and hidden under layers of anonymity. Bribes, forged documents, and insiders were likely part of how these accounts were established without raising suspicion. Additionally, backup accounts were ready around the globe, each prepared to receive millions of dollars. The timing was everything. The hackers had patiently observed global banking schedules for over a year, knowing they needed the perfect moment to initiate the heist. Thursday, February 4th, 2016 was that moment. As employees left for the day at the Bangladesh Bank, the hackers logged onto the SWIFT terminal and began issuing fraudulent commands. What made the plan so genius wasn't just its technical precision, but its exploitation of time zones. The SWIFT terminal in Bangladesh, the U.S. Federal Reserve in New York, and the receiving banks in the Philippines were all in different time zones. In Bangladesh, the weekend starts on Thursday evening, meaning the bank would be closed until Sunday morning. But in New York, it was Friday morning, a full workday ahead to process the requests without suspicion. And in the Philippines, Monday, February 8th was a bank holiday for Chinese New Year, giving the hackers nearly 4 days to complete their scheme before anyone noticed something was wrong. The trap was set, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. A total of 35 fraudulent transfer requests, amounting to $951 million, were sent to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Why New York? because the Bangladesh bank held billions of dollars in their Federal Reserve account for international settlements. By Friday, the Fed, renowned for its security, initially had no cause to stop the transfers because SWIFT instructions are legitimate and trusted. However, Sunday morning brought chaos at the Bangladesh bank. As employees finally got the printer working, to their horror, they realized 35 massive transactions had been made. They frantically tried to send a stop payment order to the New York Fed, but it was Sunday. No one was there to respond. But just as everything seemed lost, a stroke of luck intervened. As the weekend came to a close, something unexpected happened. The Federal Reserve's automated system had flagged 30 of the 35 transactions for manual review, a sheer stroke of luck caused by a minor detail. One of the SWIFT orders contained the name of a blacklisted Iranian shipping company. This coincidence saved $870 million from being transferred. When staff reviewed the orders, they noticed several red flags: the unusually large sum, the excessive number of payments, and the fact that the funds were going to private entities instead of banks. The stop payment request from Bangladesh finally reached New York, and the transfers were halted. It wasn't over yet. The hackers had already secured part of their loot. While most of the transfers were blocked, 5 transactions had already slipped through. One was a $20 million transfer to an account in Sri Lanka, but a simple typo flagged it for review, sparing Bangladesh another loss. Still, $81 million was successfully transferred to 4 RCBC accounts in the Philippines. Since it was Chinese New Year in the Philippines, the banks were closed, and Bangladesh couldn't stop the transfers in time. The hackers quickly withdrew the money and laundered it through casinos, converting it into untraceable cash. Who are these faceless criminals behind this audacious scheme? The truth was about to surface. The perpetrators behind the fake accounts, 2 Chinese nationals named Ding and Gao, were later identified. However, they escaped to Macau, a territory with strong ties to North Korea's financial operations. From there, it's likely that the funds were wired directly to Pyongyang. Despite the hackers' attempts to wipe their tracks, cybersecurity experts uncovered clues linking the attack to North Korea's Lazarus Group. A brief lapse in the attackers' security revealed a North Korean IP address and embedded Korean language within the malware, further implicated the regime. What seemed like an isolated bank heist was quickly becoming something much bigger. Though the hackers only managed to steal $81 million, the Bangladesh bank heist is considered one of the largest cyber crimes in history. More than just a theft, it demonstrated North Korea's growing expertise in cyber warfare. Proceeds from this heist likely funded nuclear weapons programs and propped up the nation's elite. From there, perhaps anything is possible. They could hack political campaigns, weapons systems, and civilian bank accounts. This heist is just the beginning. The question now remains, what will come next?